So we had faculty members, Dr. Shante White and others, who for quite some time were meeting to talk about a program in women's studies. So it was up and down, and for quite some time I had not heard a lot of conversation. So I gave her a call and say, let's revisit this. So she did. She reconvened a planning committee, and they were extremely enthusiastic about it, particularly in the innovative design of the minor. And from that point, it picked up a lot of momentum. It went through the approval process, and at every level, people were extremely excited about the potential of having a minor in women and gender studies here at NCCU.
Whereas an MFA might be critical analysis, but there might be some production as well. And an MFA is a terminal degree. So once you have that, if you ever apply somewhere, it's like the PhD, but just in fine art. Well, I was a part of the original 10 that came together, and then maybe last year, I think it was last year, I just went to the dean and said, hey, are you still interested in this, and do you mind if I kind of take the lead? And I think that probably in addition to people's other responsibilities, there probably was no leader, and everything just, because otherwise when everyone stopped doing it, nobody really picked it up. And so he said, sure, go ahead. And so I contacted several people and asked them for their feedback. I just kind of actually got it on paper, asked them for their feedback, put the proposal together, and then started the process of getting it approved all the way through APC. So I guess now I'm the coordinator of the Women's Studies program.
Feminism, it encompasses everything. It's a movement of everything, and you have to look at it not so myopic and narrow-minded. And I like being in like an environment where strong black women are like articulating.
It's emblematic of the fact that we live in a patriarchal, male-dominated, male-focused society that I had to take a whole separate class to learn about black women in particular, which is who I am, which is who I should have been learning about from the jump. Right. Took too long.
They're behind.
Way behind.
They're behind.
I'm Dr. Baina Mohammed, and I'm an associate professor here in the Department of History.
People who don't ascribe to any of those.
North Carolina Central University is the first to offer the minor in women's and gender studies. However, the Department of Liberal Studies at North Carolina A&T has a series of concentrations for students, and one of those concentrations is in women's studies. So students will have the opportunity to take up to 18 hours, a required 18 hours to concentrate in women's and gender studies. And two of those required courses will be, one, the introduction of women and gender studies, and then the course on black feminists and feminist thought and theory. In addition to those 6 hours, students will have the choice to take 4 additional classes in a range of disciplines, from literature to health and history, as well as political science and media studies.
A program like Women's Studies, must go across disciplines. It takes more than teaching the historical context. It takes more than teaching the sociological context. When you begin to examine issues of race, gender, sexuality, and class, they intersect across all types of fields of study, from history to religion to political science to economics, even to the STEM areas. So to design this program from the beginning to be interdisciplinary was clearly the correct thing to do.
You put all of those things together, and it gives you kind of a fuller and richer understanding of women as marginalized people. I always like to talk about women as victims, because there are also lots of empowering stories and empowering narratives that come from that, but just giving you a different point of view.
The most important thing that I think students can look forward to is the centering of women's ideas and experiences in their particular area of focus.
Telling me the women that actually
The only woman I
help
talked about.
bring this up, like, you know what I'm saying? Because one of the one of the things that coincided with when they talked about the history was Jamie Shepherd, but right after they spoke of him, it was his wife. So that should let you know right there the dynamic that a woman has standing not behind her man but beside him.
It also gives students language to better understand their place in this global society and strategies on how to address the power imbalance as well as social justice as a framework that we should operate from. So I'm really excited about what students will gain from having taken courses that specifically captures the experiences of women. With a graduate certificate in women's studies. She is currently the Dan Blue Endowed Chair in Political Science here at North Carolina Central University, and she is also the publisher and editor-in-chief of Black Press. She is bad, with a capital B. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Blade to the panel.
Is called White Perfect. And here are a few of their ads. So my name is Dr. Yaba Blay, and I'm the Dan Blue Endowed Chair in Political Science. I'm a scholar of Africana Studies by training, but my work looks at negotiations of power, particularly when it comes to Black bodies and Black identity. And so I was brought here to offer some additional course offerings in the Department of Political Science, as well as to help and assist students with research. I think Defined Women in Gender Studies is an academic or an intellectual foray into investigations about women, and not just the inclusion of women. So it's not enough to just say we're going to talk about women, but it's how we're talking about women. It's about looking at the positionality of women. It's about looking at the ways in which patriarchy, for example, impacts our lived experiences and our life choices. And so Women in Gender Studies, I think, as a discipline here, as a minor, as a focus, will give students an opportunity to investigate those kind of gendered phenomena. The interesting thing about Women in Gender Studies, though, is that it also includes an investigation of men, because men are a gender. And I think sometimes within Women in Gender Studies, we focus so much on women that we lose sight of men. If we understand patriarchy as an institution, then we understand that it's an institution that disempowers both men and women. So we need to be looking at both.
Who should take this class?
Everybody.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Everybody. Women's studies is for everybody. So I do not think that this should be a minor that only women students here at NCCU should feel welcome in. I think every student should see the necessity to understand the world beyond their own gendered experiences.
Hopefully, we'll see in the future if it actually can become its own standalone department. That would be awesome. That would really be great. But at least a very robust minor with lots of classes to choose from, and really encouraging all students to think critically about the experiences and the narratives of women.